Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me again on this warm Tuesday afternoon. I really appreciate you spending time. Hello, Amy from Oakdale, California, and Matilda from Medford, and Lucy from the coast of Maine. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Now, that being said, I'm really sorry about last week. I want to remind you that we have little gremlins. I'll call them engineers or QC people or graphics people that like to mess around with the frames. They're just like your kids at home or your grandkids. Sometimes they just like to steal a little part here and there. We will have that video for you complete from beginning to end. I heard that it wasn't quite finished yet, but I just want to let you know that it will be. We're going to combine it and it's going to be all okay. A little embarrassing moment, but it reminded me of Miss Congeniality when she fell on her face. Well, I already have. So anyway, thank you again for joining me. Elaine, welcome from East Texas, and Pat from Alaska. So welcome. Appreciate you joining me, and I've got a lot to show you today. Last week, I showed you how to use Pattern CAD and design, and the hopes of quilting what I had designed in Pattern CAD. Didn't work out, but we will get that going, because the minute I found the wheel to put on the back of the carriage, we recorded that segment, and so we're going to combine them together and show you that. But today we're going to talk about borders and corners. And I'm a quilter just like all of you, and I run into problems and frustrations. So I was designing a 4th of July quilt, and I wanted to introduce that this week. However, I ran out of fabric, and so I had to reorder some fabric for the borders. So my rule of thumb is, if you are not quite sure how much fabric you need, always buy more, because you never know. So learn from me, because I never know how big the blocks are going to turn out, and you don't know if you're going to want to add an extra border to make it your own. And so just remember that if you're not quite sure, and I know we all want to save money, but it's very frustrating not to be able to complete your quilt because you've run out of the fabric that you've been using. And it's really hard to combine a different color and make it look correct. So learn from me and buy it. Buy a little extra. So this cute little quilt that I have on is the one that I'm designing, but I wanted to show you the quilt that so far. It's got 2 borders for the sides, and it's really a fun little 4th of July quilt. Now, if you're joining me from other countries, it's red, white, and blue, and some of you countries have those colors. So feel free to embellish what you like for your country and be patriotic on it. But anyway, notice that I put the little flag in the middle here, and I cut out the star, and I used a piece of template plastic so I could place it and cut it correctly. And I just made the stars with the flag in the middle, and I used the courthouse step design. And so it's almost done. I've got 4 little, I don't know, where shall I stand, Bryant? Okay, I'll have you zoom out, yeah. So it's turning out really cute. You can see I have my top border, and I've got another little flag block to go in the corners there. So anyway, that's the quilt, and if you decide that you like this pattern and you want it, it will be done here, and you are welcome to email me. It's, you know my email. It's Karla with a K, K-A-R-L-A, @graceframe.com, and I'd be more than happy to share it with you, because that's part of one of the things I like about quilting. And here's the little stars that are going to go in the corners there. So anyway, it's coming together. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I had an extra block because when I'm making these patterns, I have to figure out the sizing so I can tell you how to cut. the different strips and everything. And that's another segment. I will talk about how to cut it out and piece it together and all the little tricks on that. But today I'm just going to show you borders and corners using this one little block that I'm actually going to hang on my door. So for the 4th. So I'm really excited about it because I get to show you 2 different borders. And notice that I have the blue border on the outside, and then I'm going to make this red section another border, and then I'm going to quilt the middle section using a pantograph and 4-point placement, and we're going to talk about that. So this is going to be broken up because I'm going to completely finish this block here, or this wall hanging, from beginning to end. So this week I'm going to go as far as I can, and then next week it's going to be pre-recorded. But I'm going to turn it, finish up the borders, and show you how to do that so that you get a real good understanding of how to use borders and corners and how to place them correctly. And that's what I'm here for, because, yeah, it's a lot of fun to quilt. And when you have all these great tools to use that make it that much easier, it's so much fun. So anyway, let's jump in, and I'm using the automation again. And right now, borders and corners, I could do it manually. And if you come and take a class, I teach you how to place a border and do it manually. I say manually, it's just using the block method and a pantograph method. And it's not hard to do if you've ever done it. And in fact, maybe I'll show you that after this. It'll be a really quick, short little snippet of how to place a border and a corner without the gold features of borders and corners. So I'll do that down the road, okay? Promise. And you remind me if I forget, okay? So anyway, the reason that we're going to pre-record these next few sections is because we're working on the Fall Festival, and we have so many amazing classes and new things to introduce to you and new ways of quilting. I'm really excited about it, but it's going to take up quite a bit of my time, and so just letting you know that you might see a lot of reruns in the next month or the next 2 months. But I'm going to try to work, you know, a regular segment in here and there, because I feel like it's really important for you to, not to see my face, but to see how I quilt, because, well, you need a good laugh once in a while. Okay, so thank you. And the Fall Festival is, I believe, around the 10th of October, because we're going to get ready to go to Houston. That's all back on as well this year. So. And then when I'm in Houston, I thought about this, Bryant, so I'm just telling you, when I'm in Houston, I was hoping that we could do a little segment that I could walk around the quilt festival and the quilt market and just kind of show you, so you get a little sneak peek of what's going on. And that will be 2 weeks that I'll be in Houston, but I thought it'd be a lot of fun. So you're welcome to join me when I go to Houston for the International Quilt Festival and Market. So I have all these big plans for us as quilters. So just stay with me and encourage me, because you guys actually push me out of my comfort zone, and sometimes that's really good for me. I don't know how you quilt. I need a little push here and there, and I need to get things done, and I like to think outside the box. And so with the Fall Festival, I really have some really fun, exciting new techniques. So join us then. Make sure you sign up. Watch for the pre-registration so you can get registered. And then, you know, we always give away some fabulous prizes all the time through it. So anyways, let's jump in and talk borders and corners. So this week, we're going to go into the gold features, and just going to tap on the gold features. And all these features are really nice, and they're not necessarily needed, and that's why they're gold features. They are just a little quicker way of quilting, and you will love them. If you don't have the gold features, you do need the pro version of the software, and it is a subscription. So it's a yearly subscription, and it's well worth it because you get new patterns, new designs, and you get to open up all these different ways of quilting. So we're going to open it up, and we're going to tap on borders and corners, and it opens up, and this is your borders and corners screen. It's like most of your other QCT screens. It has your toolbar across the top, and it has all your placement settings down below. Now, there are different border styles, and you can see that this is the miter border style. I want to tap on corner because I'm going to place a corner and then a border. And what's nice about borders and corners is it's going to quilt the corner and the top border all at once and down the sides. So this is what I really like about it. And it takes all the guessing of the sizing away from you, and it does it correctly. Will the Fall Festival be in person or virtual? It will be virtual so that you can all join me. But if you're ever in Utah, there's an open invitation for you to drop in and say hello and come and quilt with me, because I would love to meet you all. So make plans to come on out this way and come and join us, and we'll hook you up. So make sure that you stop by. Okay, so now I am in my corner border placement, and what it says over here in the blue is it says border style and placement, and that's what I picked is the corner. Okay, so now this little section right here is my placement screen. Just like on your select and sew and your pantograph, you have a little area that you tap on to place. Well, these little pink dots are your placement nodes. So you can see that it looks like my top border right here. If I changed it from top right over here on my right to bottom, it would shift. But we're not going to do that yet, okay? I'm just showing you a little bit about it. So I'm going to move my machine up to my left top corner of my quilt. Ooh, right here. Left top corner of my quilt. And I'm going to tap on it, and I'm going to put a margin on it, okay? So I'm going to tap on it, and notice how this little pink line moved in. Now I've placed my corner. Now I want to align it so it's nice and straight. I'm just going to pull it forward, and then I'm going to tap on this little dot down here at the bottom and see how it aligned it nice and straight. Okay, so now I'm going to go and do my inner corner section, and this is going to help size it correctly because I'm going to the inner section, and I'm going to tap on it, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Now I've placed it. Now I'm going to pull it forward, and I'm going to tap on the one right below it, and I'm going to align it. And see how it's nice and aligned? Now I could have used my marking tool, and I could have marked around it, but I chose not to because I have so much to go through today to show you, okay? And I want to get quilting. So anyway, now I'm going to go do my right corner, okay? So I'm just going to come up here to my right corner. And this one's a little wonky, and I'm going to pull it forward. I tapped on my right corner, now I'm going to pull it forward, and I'm going to tap on the one right below it, how it lined it up nice and straight. Now I'm going to go and quilt my inner. And I'm going to tap on the inner, see how it pulled it up? Now I'm going to pull it right in front of me, and I'm going to align it. And there, I have my border. It looks pretty good. It looks like I have it on pretty straight. You know, it's a little ski-wampus right here, but, you know, so am I. All right, so now that I have placed my border, okay, and it knows the sizing and everything, now I can go in over here to the left, right under border style and placement. There's set margins. Whoops, set margins, okay? So I can set my outer margin and my inner margin. If I leave my little lock on, it will size them the same size. I want my outer margin or my outer seam line to be wider because I want to put my binding on. So what I'm going to do is tap on this little lock here, and I'm going to unlock them so I can separate the sizes of what I want my margin to be. So I'm going to tap on the outer. See, it says outer and inner. So the outer is the outer area right, yes, thanks, Brian. Right up here. This is the outer. And the inner will be the bottom section right here where the seam is. So I want to add my binding, so I'm going to add 1/4 of an inch, okay? So it comes in, and if you wanted to, I like it to sew all the way to the seam, so I'm not going to change the inner. I just wanted my outer to be a little wider for my binding, okay? So I'm going to keep it like that, and then I'm going to go and get my patterns, okay? So now I've changed it. So over here on the right under set margin, it says get patterns. So I'm going to go and pull my corner pattern first. I'm going to just select it. And so when I tap on this, tap on the little icon that says select corner, my read pattern file will open up. And you notice that you have all of these great, wonderful patterns. Now you could go into your gold patterns, you can go into all of your different patterns, but I've loaded mine that I'm going to use. And I'm going to use this cute little I Love Stars border and I Love Stars corner. So I'm going to tap on the corner first, and then once the blue box has surrounded it, I can tap on open over here at the bottom right. And now it automatically sets my corners. It sizes it and sets them. This is what's great about borders and corners. Now I want to fill in the center section with the border design. It's not center design, it's border design. So I'm going to tap on it again, and I'm going to tap on the border design and select it and open it. And now it's automatically filled it in. And now I get to quilt it, okay? So notice that because it's so small, only 2 border designs, but it looks really good. So we're going to do this top border. We're going to move over here and quilt it. And then, all right, then we're going to tap on sew all. I'm going to show you my other favorite thing, and it's called fabric comp. Especially for that outside border, I feel like it's really important for us to do our fabric comp. So over here, and this is a gold feature, in the plugins you have fabric compensation. So fabric comp is if your quilt is on a little askew, it's going to keep that design sewing within the border section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark around my border, and notice that the top edge of my quilt block is green. That's the first area I'm going to mark. And so I'm just going to move it up here. All right, I got to, hang on just a minute. I've got to get this little, there we go. Well, I'm going to actually unplug this. There we go. All right. I should have did it beforehand, but I did not. I'm just unplugging my power, my battery power, so that just so that you know, so that it's not getting caught on that cord. Those cords, because we take them out on and off all the time, I just don't want it to. Okay, so now I'm going to mark around the edge. Now because I did 1/4 of an inch margin, I just want to kind of go around the edge of my quilt, and I'm just going to use my foot because I don't want it to come in all the way. So I'm just going to do it right here. And I'm going to tap on this little plus, and you'll start seeing as I move along how it pulls it down, because my quilt's not on exactly straight. It was up a little high on that corner. All right, and now I can tap on next. Now we're going to go down the side. And it's really important you think, oh, why do I need to go down the side? Well, because the side may be coming in. You just need to be really, you just need to do your due diligence and go down the side. Now we don't need to go down any further. We're past the design. I'm going to tap on next. Now I'm going to come into the inner, and I'm going to move my machine just right along the seam line and go plus, move it up, plus, and then one more. And if your quilt is on really not very straight at all, what you're going to do is make your increments a little closer, and the closer you are, the more accurate it's going to be. Now, you can spend a lot of time doing that, or you can just, space them out. It's completely up to you how you want to quilt. And you will love fabric comp. Now, I'm of that using the fabric comp, even though it takes an extra step, is well worth it. I like it, and especially if you've got a beautiful quilt that you've spent hours and hours piecing, why not take a little extra time and have it quilt correctly? So this will really help. So now I'm going to go down the side. Tell me to shut up and quit talking and just get quilting here. All right. And now next, and I've got my outer. I'm just going to go up along here. All right. So now I have my fabric comp. I can tap on OK. And now I'll just move my ruler. I'm ready to quilt. Now, I'm going to move it down to where I think it's going to start quilting. I'm going to tap on my single stitch. And I have to tap on it again to pull my bottom thread up. Oh. There we go. And I've got my scissors right here, so when it starts tying up the stitches, I can gently cut it and back away. I'm not going to be here by it because I don't want to lean on the pole and distort my design. So back off your quilting frame. So let me tap on sew. It's going to do its tie-off stitches. I wasn't very close at all. It's all good. All right, so we're just going to let it sew here, all right? And I'm going to answer questions if you have any questions. And if I've explained it so well, awesome. Hello from BC. Oh. All right, Karla, do you bury your threads? No, I pull them up and cut them. But you probably could. That's way back when, so it's a little more difficult to bury the threads on your quilt. So I'm not leaning on it. I'm just right here. All right. So notice, as it's quilting, how it's just gone up. And it's staying within my area really well. All right, any more questions? Oh, I guess not. Okay, great. I love that I explained. So anyway, we've got another top border to do and my center section. And then next time I'm going to turn the quilt, show you how to quilt the cinchers and the bottom. So we're going to break this up. So if you have any questions, or if you can think of one after I'm done with the video, with the webinar, feel free to call me. Call me or email me. I'm not really good with my phone, so email me. Okay, and Becky says she has never buried the threads either. And Ellie, she asked me if I will come to Daytona Quilt Week. And when is that? And then Josie Sews, she says, is it possible to install movable handles on my 15R? Unfortunately, no, for the 15R. It just has the standard handles. Yes, it would be nice to be able to have the handles that moved in and out. Deborah is asking, what are the differences between QCT 5 Beginner and Pro? Well, with the Pro, you actually are able to have a few more features than the beginners. So the beginners, you cannot add the gold features to it, and you can only use quilt 2 rows at a time if you're quilting an edge-to-edge design. So, but everything else you can import designs. It's a good starting point. If you don't want to spend a lot of money and you want to see if you're going to like the automation, which I really think you are, getting the beginners is a really good place to start. It doesn't give you all the bells and whistles that the QCT Pro does, but it gives you so much to work with. You can select and sew, and you can do a pantograph, like I said, only 2 rows at a time, and it just is a fun way to quilt. What machine am I using? Carrie is asking. I am using the 21 Pro today. It's the machine that I have. We have channel locks for the Cutie. I know that we did say that they were good to go. I don't know how much longer it will be before they will be here. Good news though, as this is quilting, the ports have opened up in China. And we were able to get some containers, which we were waiting on. And so, I don't know if you all are praying for us, but thank you if you are. And it's just like, wow, so many miracles are happening. And so they're loading them with continuum frames, Cutie frames. We were just waiting for them to open up. And so anyway, they're on their way. They're coming. It's probably another 6 weeks. 6 to 7 weeks before we'll be really in good stock with everything, but they're coming. Okay, will this work with the 19 and the hoop frame? Absolutely, it does. It's just a different way of quilting, but it works really well. So, okay, I've talked your ear off all the way through this. Okay, and they're asking me what is a good time to contact me. And they want me to help them. So email me first and let me look at my schedule, and then we can talk over the phone, okay? It's Karla with a K, K-A-R-L-A @graceframe.com, because that's what we're here for. All right, so I've stopped, and now it's done its tie-off stitch, and now I can pull my threads. So a lot of people ask, well, how do you pull your threads up? So I'm going to show you. So I'm going to pull my machine forward and give myself a tail. That's a tail on top and a tail underneath. And I'm going to do a nice little tail, okay? So now I'm going to move it back to where I stopped, and I'm going to grab my scissors. Now, there's 2 places in the automation that you can use your needle up, needle down, and it's called the single stitch. There's one right up here at the top. This is a new feature. So if you don't have this, you need to update, because it's a great little feature. So I use that at the beginning, and then there is in the toolbox. So if we open up the toolbox, there's that same single stitch, and that's what it says right there. So that's what I'll use. Okay, and now I'm holding on to my thread. See how I'm holding on to it? Now if I pull my machine forward, how it pulls up that thread, now I can cut them all off. There you go. Now I have a nice clean cut, and I can put my thread over there. Like a good girl, because you're not watching. You are watching, and so usually they go on the floor. All right, so now let's place my next border, and that's this little red section. And I'm going to do the same design. I'm just going to go through the same process, but I wanted you to see it one more time, okay? And then I'm going to quilt my center section, and we're going to set that up. This probably I don't know. I could go on forever with quilting. You know me. So anyway, so I'm finished, and I'm going to tap on finish. Now I'm back to my quilt borders and corners screen, and so what I want to do is move back up to my border style and placement, because I've got a new border that I'm placing, and it's a little, you know, it's inside a little more, and so I'm going to go up to my top left, and I'm going to tap on this, and it's going to pull it down. See what it did? And I could have reset it, but we're going to see what happens, okay? Now I'm going to go and do my inner border. Same thing, I'm going to come over here, do my inside border, and move it, and tap on this one. See how it's moving? And now I'm going to go do my outer border. I like the outer borders done first, and then the inner borders. And if you try to go place the inner borders first, it's not going to like it because you haven't placed these outer sections. So it's going to kind of, oops, see what I did? I crossed. I wasn't watching what I was doing, and I tapped on the wrong one. So I'm going to move back here, and we'll see if we can fix it. See, I tapped on the wrong one. So don't let it worry you. I get talking and I forget what I'm doing. I'm a chatterbox. My mom's Grace of the Grace Company. I'd always be driving with her, and we would be talking up a storm, and we would always miss our turn off, or we'd get lost. So it's a lot of fun times. I miss my sweet mom. So notice that I still have my margin. I'm going to get rid of my margin because I don't want it on this section, because I don't want it sewing down in this little area. So when you're quilting, just make sure that you're looking at it, looking at all the little features are on it, and making sure you want it to quilt how you, and I'm going to take it away. And now I am going to come in and get my patterns again, okay? Because I want it to be correct. I think it's going to work, but I just want to make sure. So I want my corner first. I opened up my read pattern screen, so I'm picking my corner first. All right, and then I'm going and I'm going to pick my border. All right, so it's set to go. Now I'm going to tap again on, and notice how I have this little check mark here on the screen. It says autofill. If you don't have that checked, then you're just going to get one design and you're going to have to add more. So when this is filled, when this has a check in it, it's going to automatically size and fill in your border and your corner for you. So it's just a really nice, easy way of taking all the calculations from you and doing it correctly. So I'm going to tap on Sew All, and we're going to go and we're going to do my fabric comp again, okay? And so I'm just going to move along the border or the seam line. I'm going to tap on my plugins, go into fabric comp, and then I'm just going to tap. And this is just because my quilt, it may not be on really straight, and I want it to stay in, and then I want to go to next. So I'm going to come down the edge here. Again, it just takes a little extra time, but it's so worth it. And then we're going to roll our quilt and do our center section. So I'm going to go into the inner sanctum and tap. See how it pulled that out? You can watch it move, and now I'm going to tap on next and move. And these features, you can thank me for fabric comp. I was quilting on a quilt, and I even remember what quilt it was. It was one that I was doing a lot of spirals. And I was quilting a lot of sashings and the border, and I said to Brad, I said, Brad, why can't you come up with something that will keep the border in this border section, even if your quilt's not on straight? Because nobody's going to ever get their quilt on exactly straight. And if you do, by golly, kudos. Because, you know, when we're sewing, we get a little crazy sometimes. All right, I just want to do one more. And now I want you to go to my outer area, and I'm just going to move up it. And now I've outlined, and now we're ready to tap on OK. And you can see it's going to keep it sewing in there. I'm going to move it to where I think it's going to start. I'm going to tap on my single stitch. All right. Oh, I broke my threads. Sorry, everybody. I had a little hang up there, and so, oh well. I'm going to hurry and see, no glasses. All right, now I can tap on sew. Did I tap on it hard enough? There we go. It's going to move to where it's going to start quilting. All right. There we go. All right, more questions while it's sewing? Okay, Becky's asking, do you do sashing the same way minus the corners? No, I don't. So I will probably use place as a single design with a pantograph. And so that's how I will use, I wouldn't use borders and corners for sashing. And so that's what you'll do. How do you use arcs in fabric comp? Good question. And once I know, I will let you know. I have never used them. And so I'll learn more about that and get you the answer. Be sure that you email me that question so that I can get you an answer. And so I'm more educated as well. I'm not afraid to tell you that I don't know something. I'm learning so much every day as well. Which tablet do we recommend? Terry's asking. We like the Surface Pro tablets, and so they're at a good price and they're well worth the investment. Can you do this on the beginnings? No, you cannot use you cannot use borders and corners if you have the beginnings. You need to upgrade. Okay, Janet George says, Fabric Art has turned me into a lazy quilter, and I am both happy and proud of that. Yeah, Janet, right there with you. Anything to make it easier. And thanks for watching today. She's such a great seamstress and quilter. Yeah. Josie Sews asked, what is fabric comp? Fabric comp is compensating for the way your quilt is aligned on your, or how it's aligned on your quilt. So with the borders, notice I didn't get my needle up there quite. It's supposed to keep it right there in the edge, but as I was placing the fabric comp, I was in a big hurry and I didn't get my needle up just a little bit. So that's what it does. It's supposed to keep this section in the border section of your quilt. So, but it's only as good as you are. So you need to tell it. And I probably should have turned my needle down closer to the fabric so that I could eyeball it on the seams much better. So you can do that with your hand wheel or with the Pro. There's a needle jog, and you can jog the needle down so it's closer, and that is pinpointing along the seam line. So just some little tricks as you're quilting. Brenda is asking, I only have an older Bailey Quilter 13. No, unfortunately, it does not work with the Baileys. Okay. almost done here. And then I'm going to roll it. And we're going to quickly do our center section. And boy, lots of good questions. So now I'm really curious about the arcs. All right, so now again I'm going to show you how to pull up your threads. I'm going to make my tail. I'm going to move it back. I'm going to hold on to my thread, and I'm going to tap on my single stitch. It's going to pull it up. You can pull it forward or back, and then I can cut. Okay, so now I'm ready to roll my quilt so I can quilt my little center section. But see how fun it looks? It's a lot of fun. So I'm just going to quickly unlock this. I didn't want a lot of noise. So I can set this up. And notice that I ran out of the red fabric as well. So I have a different color on the back. Oh well. All right. I'm not going to take time and tack that down because if I was quilting the border, I would, but I'm not. So I am just going to be quilting that center section. And what I'm going to use is, okay, so now I'm going to get out of my borders and corners. All right, I'm going to tap out of this. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here to pantograph. So I'm on my home screen, I'm going to tap on pantograph. It's going to open it up. So I want to use my ruler and I want to measure this square right here, okay? In this ruler, oh God, it's so cool. It's got an area, so I can move up here to my top left, and tap on my ruler. And then I can move down here to my bottom right and tap on my ruler. Okay, now that's the distance. It's 11.64, all right? But now I want the area. So that's my area. And I'm going to apply this measurement. And this is my measurement, okay? That's the coolest ruler ever, all right? So it's just easy. Now I'm in basic mode. That's the mode I want to use. I don't want to use power panto because I don't want lines to sew down. So I'm going to come in here and select my pattern. And I'm just going to use this. Which one was I going to use, Marie? Oh, it was this one. No, it was a different one. Sorry. It was up here in batch, okay? It was this one right here. This was cute. All right, so this was the design I was going to quilt in this area. So I already kind of tested it out. I want 3 across and 3 rows down. All right, that looks really good to me. I think it looks really cute. And now, rather than sewing in zones, because I'm not quilting all the way down my quilt, I'm going to tap on place as a single pattern because it's a single design in this area. So I'm going to tap on place as a single pattern. And then if I wasn't in 4-point placement, I would just move up and down to find my 4-point placement. So I'm on 4 points, so I'm just going to move up to my top left corner and tap on this little node here. And those are my placement nodes, and notice it's turned green. That means that the design is now placed. Now I'm going to move over here to my right, and you can do these in whatever order you want. Goodness, you don't have to do them in the order I'm doing them. But after I'm done with this, and then we're going to pre-record the next section so that you will not miss out on this exciting borders and corners. And now I'm going to just tap on quilt because I've placed it. Now I'm ready to quilt. Okay. Now see, I have these little blue marks on them. Those are called trim lines. Because this is an edge-to-edge quilt, and I don't want to connect them. This trim line is fine with me because I want it to jump from this one to this one. I don't want it to sew down because I don't want a sewn strip, sewn seam all the way down, and I just don't think it'll look good. So just look at your pattern, look at your design, and sometimes trim lines are always allowed. You just don't want a gazillion of them. So 2 will not hurt us. So now I'm going to move it up to where I think I'm going to start sewing. Now I could do fabric comp again. I could go all the way around my block if I wanted to. I can move my needle down. My needle is kind of twisted and I don't want it. So I'm just going to rethread it because I noticed that it was sewing okay, but it was twisted around my needle. And I just didn't want that. But I'm not going to do it because I don't have a lot of time. So anyway, we're going to deal with it as is. So I think it's going to start up here. So I'm just going to quickly do my single stitch. And pull it up. Just pull it up away. I'm going to bring it back. And now we're ready to go. I'm going to tap on sew. Oh, that's pretty close. I'm going to cut them and let it go. There we go. Now we're just going to let it sew and quilt. Judy is asking, are you using the Continuum frame in this video? Yes, this is the Continuum 2 frame. And so, yes, it is the Continuum. So great frame, really easy to use. If you're ready to upgrade, call your dealer. Sometimes you're ready for that next step in your quilting journey. Bigger is not always better. Depends on the room that you have. And so just make sure that you're using your money wisely. And then Becky's asking, what did you click to get, click on to get the area? Oh, on the ruler. So in the ruler, there are like 3 different rulers. There's one that shows the distance, and it's a straight cross ruler. Then there's a ruler that it has an L. And when I tap on that, if I go to the upper left and the bottom right, that shows me the area. So it's the L-shaped ruler on your ruler screen. I think that's what you were asking, Becky. I'm not sure, but I hope. Okay, Judy, is this yes, absolutely it's available in Canada. Called Sew Right Distributors is our distributor up there. Please call them. If you want to email me, I can email you their information. Get the great distributors, great to have introducing. And it's a Shazia. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. It's a beautiful name. Do you have the ruler base under the foot? No, I don't. But it's easily put there. The reason I don't like to use the ruler base with the automation is because I want to be able to get as full a stroke as I can. And sometimes with the ruler base, it will hit the front pole. So see, it stopped. And I've come to the end of this. So now it's done its little tie off. And now I want to just tug on this little string right here. This is what I do is I tug, give it some slack, and then I tap on move to next. Now, I probably shouldn't have done that, but it's going to just move down to the next row here, and I'm just going to kind of pull it. All right, and now it's going to do its second row. Oh, I have to tap on sew. And I'm not even going to cut my threads. I'm just going to let it do its thing. There we go. All right, and just continue on. Now I'll just answer questions, or you've seen enough of that. We can let you go. Anyway, make sure that you give us a call If you have any questions, any concerns, is the continuum frame adjustable width-wise? Yes, it is. Actually, yes, you can adjust it to accommodate the smaller machines, and you can extend it out this direction. In fact, all of our frames are. Okay, so I ran out of bobbin, okay? And we get to come up and you get to see me repair a pattern. All right, so did I get my bobbins? Okay, I'm gonna walk off screen just really quick. I'm going to get my bobbins. Now, when we're repairing a pattern, notice it's locked in place. I can't move my machine because the automation has locked it. All right, so I want to be able to release my carriage and change my bobbin. So I'm just going to cut my threads right here. All right, so I'm going to tap on release carriage. You hear it's going to release, and now I can move it. Now I can move it off to the side. And I'm going to pull out my bobbin. These are not reusable, sorry. I love the pre-wounds, but you can't reuse them. So I'm going to put my bobbin in quickly because we're melting here. And I'm going to make sure it's turning the right direction, and lo and behold, Karla always puts it in backwards, and she has to change it. So notice it's pulling, and it's pulling, and I like to pull a little bit of length out, just a little bit. Those pre-wounds are pretty full. And so I'm just pulling a little bit out, and now I'm going to just check it. See how, it's a little tight. There we go. Now it's not quite so tight. Sometimes we can overfill the bobbins, and it really does affect the way it quilts. So make sure that you're checking on it. It's still a little tight, but it's sewing okay, so I'm just going to leave it. However, I probably would loosen it up just a tad, but not today, okay? Because we're just going for it. All right, so now I'm just going to move up to where I noticed that it stopped stitching, okay? That's not the last stitch stitched. The last stitch stitched was clear down over here because I ran out of my bobbin. So this over here is the last stitch stitched, and even though it doesn't have thread, it's the last stitch stitch. Up here is my closest stitch, and I don't want to lean against anything. I want to come up here to repair pattern, and then I want to tap on not last stitch, but closest stitch. All right, now I'm going to tap on my single stitch and see how close I am. Oh, I'm right on. And I'm going to look at my pattern. Okay, there it is. Okay. Going to look at my design and see if I'm where I need to be, and I am. Okay, so now I can tap on sew. It's as easy as that. I mean, really, there's not a lot to it. It does all the work for you. You just have to find the closest stitch, and it's going to do its little tie-offs. There we go. And we're going to finish quilting. Anyway, I'm going to let you go because it's been a long day. I appreciate you joining me today. We'll have those videos up and ready for you. Please join us for the Fall Festival. I'm so looking forward to it. I can't tell you all the things that we get to show you and all the new techniques. But anyway, if you have questions, you want the pattern, email me. I want to hear from you. All right? Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and have a wonderful 4th of July. And even you out of the country in Canada, please have a great weekend. And please take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.